Hey kids, welcome to Bluey Season 1, Episode 1. The cartoon opens inside the Healer family's beautiful home, where Bandit is lying on the floor, pretending to play the piano on Bluey's tummy, while Bingo sits nearby, watching the whole thing with amusement. In an overly dramatic voice, Bandit announces that he's about to perform Rondo alla Turca for everyone. He then rapidly wiggles his fingers across Bluey's belly like a real pianist, causing Bluey to burst into uncontrollable laughter. He even flips her over and starts playing on her back, joking that there must be something wrong with his piano because it keeps trying to run away, as Bluey laughs and squirms out of his reach. Just then, Bingo walks over and says that she wants to be the piano next, but Bluey immediately insists that it's still her turn. Trying to keep the peace, Bandit explains that taking turns can sometimes be really difficult. Bingo complains that Bluey has already had way too many turns, so Bandit picks her up and says she can be the bum bongos instead, playfully drumming on her back like a pair of bongos. At that very moment, Chilli dances into the room and cheerfully declares that she loves a good rhythm. While searching through the toy bucket for some real bongos, Bingo discovers a xylophone and excitedly calls Bluey over to take a look. But the second Bandit notices the xylophone, he panics and tries to make a run for it, shouting, "Oh no!" Bluey quickly tells Bingo to play it, and as Bingo strikes the xylophone with a loud ding, Bandit instantly freezes in place. The two sisters excitedly realize that this is a magic xylophone and immediately begin testing its powers on their helpless dad. Bluey moves his fingers around, Bingo tugs on his ears, and Bluey even sticks her finger up his nose. Wanting to show someone their incredible discovery, they call Chilli over to witness the scene. Carrying her bag, Chilli walks in, laughs, and remarks that Bandit looks exactly like he did when they first met. Bluey then plays the xylophone again, unfreezing Bandit. Completely confused, he wonders how fingers ended up in his nose before chasing after the girls to grab the xylophone back. However, Bluey quickly shouts, "Freeze!" and the moment Bingo hits the xylophone with another ding, Bandit freezes once again. Taking advantage of the situation, the two sisters dash inside to grab some pens for even more mischievous fun. Bluey soon returns carrying a purple marker and immediately starts drawing a curly mustache on Bandit's face while he's still frozen in place. Meanwhile, Bingo slips a pink feather boa around his neck and places a pair of reindeer antlers on his head, turning their dad into an even funnier sight. Before long, the sisters begin arguing again because they both want the chance to unfreeze him. However, Bluey quickly grabs the xylophone and plays it first, bringing Bandit back to life. The moment he's unfrozen, Bandit charges after the girls, demanding the magic xylophone. He even manages to catch Bluey, but just as he's about to take it away, Bluey yells, "Freeze!" and Bingo strikes the xylophone with another loud ding. Instantly, Bandit freezes in the exact same pose. Bingo admires their handiwork and says that Dad actually looks pretty handsome with a mustache, while Bluey excitedly suggests that they should bring in the teddy bears next. Just then, Bingo sadly points out that Bluey keeps taking all the turns for herself and never lets anyone else have a chance to do the freezing. Bluey brushes off her complaint and doesn't pay much attention to it. Outside, Chilli happens to be chatting near the front of the house when their neighbor, Wendy, walks by with her stroller. Wendy is completely stunned when she notices Bandit standing frozen in such a ridiculous position. Back inside, Bluey and Bingo return with a pile of soft toys and stuff them into Bandit's clothes for even more laughs. As Chilli gets ready to leave for work, the girls proudly show her Bandit's latest makeover. Chilli chuckles, brushes a loose strand of fur away from his face, and remarks that it had been bothering her all morning. After that, Bingo says it's finally her turn to unfreeze Dad, but Bluey immediately pulls the xylophone back toward herself. Frustrated, Bingo complains that Bluey never lets her have a proper turn. Chilli steps in and gently explains to Bluey that if she refuses to take turns with other people, eventually they won't want to take turns with her either. Bluey tries to justify her behavior by arguing that Bingo is too slow and Dad will catch them if she takes too long. But Chilli firmly tells the girls that they either learn to play fairly or she'll take the magic xylophone to the office and freeze her boss instead. Hearing that, even the frozen Bandit manages to let out a panicked little "No!" Before leaving, Chilli reminds them not to forget to unfreeze Dad every now and then so he can at least have a bathroom break, and then she heads off to work. Once Chilli is gone, Bluey finally hands the xylophone over to Bingo and advises her to stand a little farther back so she'll have enough time to escape. Bingo nervously taps the xylophone and says, "Ding! Unfreeze!" In an instant, Bandit springs back to life and charges after the girls with a dramatic yell. Terrified and laughing at the same time, Bluey and Bingo race through the house and hide beneath the bed in their bedroom. Bandit enters the room pretending to search for them, casually wondering out loud if maybe they've gone downstairs instead. When everything finally goes quiet, Bluey slowly crawls out from under the bed and whispers that, just to be safe, they should freeze Dad again. But this time, Bingo refuses. She tells Bluey that she's tired of Bluey taking every single turn for herself. The sisters begin tugging back and forth over the magic xylophone, arguing as they struggle to gain control of it. Suddenly, the closet door bursts open and Bandit jumps out, snatching the xylophone right out of their paws. Laughing triumphantly, he points out that they were so busy fighting with each other that they gave him the perfect opportunity to take it back. Then, with a mischievous grin, he strikes the xylophone with a cheerful ding, freezes Bluey in place, and proudly announces that he now has a wonderful new garden gnome. After that, Bandit carries the frozen Bluey outside and places her on the lawn near the garden fountain like a decorative statue. Noticing the marker stains all over her hands, he comments that they'll need to be washed off and heads away to grab the garden hose. Hidden behind the bushes, Bingo quietly taps the magic xylophone and whispers, "Ding, unfreeze." Bluey lets out a huge sigh of relief and thanks her little sister. However, as soon as she reaches for the xylophone again, Bingo sadly tells her that she never takes turns and that it really hurts her feelings. She explains that she'll only help Bluey if she promises to let Bingo have an equal chance to play from now on. Since Bluey is still frozen, Bingo tells her to blink twice. If the answer is yes, Bluey quickly blinks both eyes 2 times, and with a satisfied smile, Bingo happily unfreezes her. Just then, Bandit returns, humming to himself while carrying the garden hose. Cheerfully, he announces that it's time to give his new garden gnome a nice bath. Bluey continues pretending to be frozen, while Bingo secretly hides behind the bushes and squeezes the hose to stop the flow of water. Confused, Bandit begins checking the hose to see what's wrong. At that exact moment, Bingo lets go, and a powerful stream of water blasts straight into Bandit's face. Taking advantage of the distraction, Bluey jumps up and shouts, "Ding! Freeze!" Instantly, Bandit freezes right in the middle of the spraying water. Bluey excitedly reveals that they tricked Dad because Bingo had already unfrozen her earlier, and she'd only been acting the whole time. Proudly handing the magic xylophone over to Bingo, Bluey says that now it's finally her turn. The 2 sisters then admire their frozen dad, who now looks like a hilarious human water fountain with water continuously spraying from his mouth. They sit together on the front steps, and Bluey lovingly offers Bingo the chance to unfreeze him, but Bingo grins and says, "Not yet," because she's really enjoying having a daddy water fountain. The girls burst into laughter, and a moment later, Chilli joins them and sits nearby. The entire family happily enjoys the funny sight together, while Bandit remains frozen on the lawn, still spraying water like a fountain. And with that, Bluey Season 1, Episode 1 comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe for more Bluey adventures, and don't forget to like the video and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.